from the judges, and 153.30. Yeah, 48 points, just like this morning. Very good job by the Polish diver. Also, Elena is going to show us a back 1.5 somersault pike, and also Elena this morning got 48 points on it. She's for sure trying to improve that score in the afternoon. And very nice. She'll probably improve the score from the morning. The only thing about this dive is that she jumped off the springboard with bent knees, and she kept it a little bit bent throughout the somersault. We saw her extending her knees when getting in the water, but definitely better than this morning. 8, and 7.5 from the judges. 54.05, and she's in first place at 162.65 points. Lena Henschel now, the second reverse 2.5 somersault tuck of the competition. 58 points for her in the morning. And probably not as good as the morning. Her hurdle was way over the end. It seemed like that did not bother her. She still went very up in the air, very high, but the entry is not very clean, very arched getting in the water. And yeah, not as good as the morning, but I gotta say, not a big mistake for her. Probably this dive does not give her an advantage. 54 points is a score on the reverse dive, reverse somersaulting dive that the other divers can do also with the reverse 1.5. So she risked it. It was not bad. It was solid, but might have not given her a huge advantage compared to the ones that are competing the 1.5. And now Michelle Amberg, back 1.5 somersault pike. Once again, just like the forward 2.5 somersault by Michelle, it was a good jump, very high. I like the way she stands straight with her upper body when taking off. But for the third time in a row in her dive, it's just not clean in the water. The line of the arms, hands and arms with the rest of her body is not perfect. So a little bit too many splashes for her on this dive. 7.5s and 7s, 49.45, and Michelle is in third place at 157. Forward 1.5 somersault, double twist, 2.6 degree of difficulty for Grace Reed. It was her best dive this morning. And very good. The entry is the line in the water is perfect. Very well executed twist. Probably just loses control of her feet when finishing the twist. You see here how the toes are not together also when getting in the water. Not bad at all. 54.60 for her on this dive. Straight 7s from the judges. 154.40, and she's right there behind Michelle, just 3 points behind Michelle and 1 ahead of Kaja Skiersuk. Chiara Pelacani now, reverse 1.5 somersault pike for the Italian diver. Nice dive, very high, very, very high. Probably just her feet go a bit too far over when getting in the water. Also, the pike position could have been cleaner, but overall very high, incredibly high. That was that stayed up in the air for a long time. But yeah, you saw how her legs just go slightly over. She could have done a better job in the entry there, but she's still there. Just 7 points behind her teammate Elena Bertocchi, who's in first. Probably lost 2 to 5 points with that entry, Chiara. And the last reverse 2.5 somersault tuck by Emilia Nilsson Garib. Ooh, beautiful top. She actually ends up going over. Incredible speed in the air by Emilia. Very good squeezing that tuck. She probably kicked a little bit too far high for that kind of somersault. Not bad at all. And she did not do as good as this morning where she got 63 points. But she did get an advantage with this high degree of difficulty dive. She gets up to 165 points. A total of 8 points advantage on the fourth diver, which is Michelle Einberg. You see the standings now. Emilia in first, Elena in second, and Lena in third. Yeah, definitely out of the three divers that performed the reverse 2.5 somersault tuck, Emilia is the one that was sure of choosing the right dive because Lena and Elle, who still did a great job with that, but did not perform a dive that gave her an advantage on the others. All the other divers competing 1.5 could still score the 54 points that they did, so that they got on their dives. So now on is a little bit more even competition because the degree of difficulties are pretty much the same for all the divers. And we start again the fourth round of dives. Reverse 1.5 somersault, 1.5 twist for Lauren Alaselka. Nice, and I gotta say, it seemed that throughout the day, Lauren has been struggling with all her hurdles. Very quick getting that twist, didn't go very high in the air. It is still a good dive. 6.5s from the judges. 6s are the scores that count. Yeah, just 1 6.5 actually. 182.80. Caroline Kupka now. Reverse 1.5 somersault pike for her. Once again, very strong coming down from the hurdle, pressing the board. She dips the tip of the springboard in the water once again, but doesn't pick up much speed. And also when she came out of the somersault, she arches too much and her legs drop short because she's not tight enough in her core on the come out from the somersault. And she gets a total of 37.20, way too short and below average score for her. Now on the board is Anna Pismenska for 2.5 somersault pike. Let's see if this time she can use her arms better on the board and be more precise with that circle arm, because throughout the whole day, all the competitions she has done, that's the only thing I would have corrected, and the only reason why judges drop the scores for her. And not very well executed once again the circle arm, but in this case she also did not get a good hurdle. She stepped back. You saw her feet here not on the tip of the springboard. The dive is low and short, so probably 5.5, 6s. Oh, actually even a 7. I'm sorry, I was too dramatic probably there. 6.5s and a 7 from the judges. 52 points for Anna Pismenska in first place at the moment at 193.90. Elle Tuxen now, reverse 1.5 somersault. Excuse me, my bad. Forward 1.5 somersault, double twist. Oh, not a good job by Elle here. She struggled on the hurdle. She was falling off the board forward when she came down. You see her toes are over the end, leaning too far forward. She still managed to get very high, but the twist is not completely straight, and she lines up in a pike position, doesn't get straight in the entry. 187.80 points for her, and she ends up being behind Anna Pismenska in second place right now. Jette Müller now reverse 1.5 somersault pike. In 9th place after 3 rounds of dives. Another beautiful entry for Jette. Very good timing on the board, and very nice come out. I really like this dive. It lines up correctly. Once again, she dives very well, probably just a tiny bit over. A very good job. It's not eights and 8.5 just because it goes slightly over. 7.5 for her, 54 points. That's what I was telling you about her teammate, Lena. She performed the reverse 2.5 somersault tuck and scored exactly the same as her as Jette, but much more risk for Lena on the reverse 2.5 somersault tuck. Well, it's gone now. She scored 54. Let's move on to Kaja from Poland. Same dive for her, reverse 1.5 somersault pike, and she needs 7s to be in first ahead of Jette. And not gonna get 7s here. Way over the end with her feet. Too far forward. The whole dive just moves too far forward. Still does a good job in the air getting a tight pike, but ends up being far and quite short. So 6.5 maybe. 5.5 also. Yeah, 6.5, 6 and 6 are the score that count for her. A little disagreement by the judges on this dive. One gave 5.5, another a 7, but not a huge mistake after all for Kaja. And she's in second place right now. Elena Bertocchi, same dive for the 2022 European champion. And a huge mistake for one of the dives. We see disappointment from Team Italy. Huge mistake for one of the divers that was trying to get gold here. You saw her feet completely in the corner and over the end, way too short. This is not going to score very high. 5s and 5.5s for, saw the reaction of her coach Oscar Bertone. And only 36 points for the Italian diver, 198. 198 total points for Elena. Next up, Lena Enchel. Reverse 1.5 somersault, 1.5 twist. And also Lena, we saw Christoph Baum not very happy with this performance of her diver. The top part was very good here. The only thing, she started a twist when her feet were still on the board. That causes the dive to lean on the side. She's not perfectly vertical, also a bit over and in between the two boards. So judges do deduct a few points because of that. 6s, 1.7. Disagreement on this dive as well by the judges. Some judges gave 6s and others 7.5s. Yeah, so not perfect. 49 points for Lena. She's still in first, but lost a few points there compared to the average. Reverse 1.5 somersault pike for Michelle Eimbert. Oh, much better than what she did last year in Rome. That was one of the dives that she missed. Very high. Look at her upper body does not swing back at all, and that's why it falls vertical. Once again, the line in the entry of her arms and the hands are not completely flat in the water, so this could have gone for 9s and 9.5s, but the entry is not super clean, so 8s. 57-60 for Michelle. A very excellent result on this dive. She gets 8 points ahead of Lena Enschel at the moment. With just one dive left. Inward 1.5 somersault pike for Grace Reed, who needs 8.5s to get ahead of Michelle Emberg and 7.5s to get ahead of Lena. She'll get 7.5s, I think. Probably not high enough to get 8.5s. She should have gone higher. She needed a stronger jump. We saw her getting ahead of time in the pike position. That was the only mistake. Other than that, a very nice pike position and a good entry. And an average of 7.5s, as I thought, give her a total of 54 points on this dive, 208.40, and she's 2 points ahead of Lena and 6 points behind Michelle. Chiara Pellacani now, reverse 1.5 somersault, 1.5 twist for the Italian diver from Rome. Beautiful dive off the board and in the air. The twist is perfect. Not a clean entry though. Here again, just like in the previous dive, Chiara does a overall good job and still doesn't get the best dive that she could get. It's vertical, it's nice, it's just very splashy in the water. But overall, a good job. This dive puts her, as of right now, in second place at a total of 210.35. But they're all very close. Very, very close. A reverse 1.5 somersault, 1.5 twist for Emilia Nilsson-Garip. She was leading before this dive. And nice, very nice. The hurdle ended up being a little bit too far forward. Her feet are, her toes are over the end, but still manages to get very high. And same as Chiara, the entry is not the cleanest possible. So not bad, but could have done better on this one. She's still way ahead of everyone else now after this fourth round of dives. At 221.50, 7 points ahead of second place Michelle Emberg. We have these standings before the last round of dives now on screen. Emilia Nilsson-Garip 221.50, Michelle Emberg 214.75, and Chiara Pellacani in third at 210.35. But look how close all the others are. 8 points between second place and fifth place. So for the podium, anything can still happen. And checking at the list of the divers, the last 5 divers diving that are also the top 5 divers in the ranking, the clear advantage is for Michelle and Grace, just on a degree of difficulty stance from that point of view, because the others have the inward 1.5 somersault pike, while Michelle has the reverse twister and Grace has the forward 2.5 somersault pike. While we saw the last dive of Lauren Alaselka, it was high, very high, and nice in the entry. Probably once again not perfect on the hurdle and a bit too far forward. 50.70 for her, and she closes at 233.50. Caroline Kupka now, reverse 1.5 somersault, 1.5 twist for the Norwegian diver, who's in 12th place after the fourth round of dive. Wow, she did a very good job recovering. Look at her feet, completely over the end and into the water. She still got as high as possible and vertical. Very good job recovering from that spot on the board. She gets 6s from the judges and a total score of 223.90 for the Norwegian diver. Anna Pismenska now for 1.5 somersault, double twist. The double twist for her. Way too far forward. Since the very beginning of the hurdle, her shoulders are leaning forward. She doesn't move her arms behind her at all. These cannot score very high. Too many mistakes on the board for Anna, who actually ends up doing a perfect entry, but way too far away. Yeah, and she is disappointed with that. 5.5s from the judges, and she closes 236.80. Elle Tixon now, back 1.5 somersault pike. Elle did an amazing job on her reverse 2.5 somersault tack, and then, unfortunately for her, made a huge mistake on the forward twister. If not, she would have been very, very close to the podium. Too bad. Back 1.5 somersault pike for her to finish her list. Not bad. Probably a bit too far away from the springboard. So 6.5s from the judges, and Elle gets up in third place at the moment at 232.65. Jette Müller, she was in 6th place, a bit further back than the top 5 divers, just 4 points behind her teammate, so she could still have a chance if things don't go right for the other divers. A chance for medals, obviously. And a struggle there on the hurdle. Not very strong off the board and quite far away, so not an excellent execution on this dive for her. She's most likely not going to repeat the 4th place that she got last year in Rome. 6s from the judges, a total score of 248.80, put Jette in 1st place at the moment, waiting for the others. Kaya now. Kaya needs 7s to get ahead of Jette with this dive. A back 1.5 somersault, 1.5 twist. Oh, very nice. Excellent job by the Polish diver. Not very high, but she's very fast, both in the somersault and the twist. So she gets perfectly vertical and a clean entry. And 6.5s and just 1.7. It's not enough for her to get ahead of Jette. Just 1 point behind the German in 2nd place right now. Representing Italy, Elena Bertocchi. Huge mistake for her on the previous round. She needs 6.5s now to get ahead of Jette. But probably that won't be enough to repeat herself and be back-to-back European champion. And a great dive. Unfortunate 4th round of dives for her. The big mistake on the hurdle of the reverse 1.5 somersault cost her a lot. She goes very high here above the board, and a nice lineup in the entry. She closes at 250.65, and she's in first at the moment. Needs to wait for the other 5 divers diving, and we start the fight. The fight for medals now with Lena Enschel, inward 1.5 somersault pike. Oh, beautiful. Beautiful dive. Probably the only thing about this dive is that it's not very fast in the somersault, but the distance is perfect. The movements are correct, and also the lineup is clean enough. Could have been a bit cleaner if she would have put the hands flatter on the water. Didn't grab very well, probably, her hands. But excellent job by Lena on her last dive, 7.5s. A total of 54 points on this dive, and she gets ahead of Elena Bertocchi and everyone else at 260.75. And now we have on the board Michelle Einberg, reverse 1.5 somersault, 1.5 twist for her. Beautiful dive. She does not repeat the mistakes of last year in Rome. Again, the hurdle is a bit too far back, ends up being too far back on the board, but she goes very high and finally gets a very clean entry also on this dive. 7.5s from the judges, and Michelle Einberg sets the bar for gold at 273.25. First place for her as of right now. And now Grace Reed, forward 2.5 somersault pike for the British diver. Oh, amazing entry. Very clean. This is going to score very high. She needed 8.5s to be ahead of Michelle Einberg. Don't know if it's an 8.5, but this dive was strong, high, and especially very clean in the entry. 7.5s from the judges. She ends up being second right now behind Michelle Einberg at 266.90. Chiara Pellacani now. Ooh. Very hard for Chiara. A very hard situation. She's not in a bad spot. She can do it. 9s to get in front of Michelle, and 8s to be ahead of Grace. It's hard. She can do it. Very good job. Let's see what the judges think. The dive is not extremely high, but it's very precise in the technique. Arm swing is perfect. Legs are perfectly straight and together. And a clean entry for Chiara. Let's see what the judges think. 7.5s from the judges for Chiara Pellacani, and she's in third place behind Grace Reed right now, waiting for the last dive of Emilia Nilsson-Garriep, who only needs 6s on this dive to get on the podium, and 7.5, an average of 7.2 from the judges to win. And once again, another competition that is decided on the very last dive. And here it is. The new... well, let's see what the judges think first. because the dive is good. It's probably just a little bit short. Let's see, she had quite an advantage. Oh, wow. 7s from the judges. Not the 7.5 that she needed. Oh my God. Drama at the pool right now on the last dive. Michelle Emberg takes the lead on the last round of dives and wins, but just 0.15 points for 15 cents of a point. Incredible end to the 1 meter women final. Michelle Emberg is the new European champion. You see it here on screen, all very, very close. And Michelle on the last round of dives takes the lead and wins gold here in Rzeszów. Well, that was exciting once again at the last dive.